m'intéresser, ER, yeah? That interests me, intéresse, ça m'intéresse, interested, intéressé on the end, yeah? Interesting, intéressant, yeah? Where it intéresse, yeah, you know what comes before, intéressé, intéressant, it would be the same thing. So that's basically one final thing to remember, is that we're going to get loads of adjectives out of verbs. And think with your verbs, okay? Final thing on this one before we move on is, if it's an adjective, it can obviously then have an E or an S on it if it's feminine. So this en business isn't always going to sound en. So tiring, for example, fatigante, fatigante. So the girl is really tiring, the little girl, yeah, she just wants to keep running. La petite fille est fatigante, yeah, she wants to continue running. Elle veut continuer à, remember from last week, elle veut continuer à courir, to run. Fatigante, or we could have an S. Oh, the girls are tiring, les filles sont fatigantes. Yeah, so you're just going to hear the T because you have an E after it. So that's that ing. Right, so quick recap up to this point. We've had that we don't use ing for verbs, we use en train de. We have the fact that we're going to use on and then the ant after a verb to give me a very nice expression, so in speaking, en parlant, which is kind of formal, or for essays. We've just learnt that you can use ant again to make an adjective, to make a describing word. So interest, the verb to interest, intéresser, to interest, intéressant. Okay? And indeed, if you now think of the words you already know that you've learned that have ant on the end of them, you might find that a lot of them are actually from verbs. You might have learned the en form first. Yeah? Good. And now the final one, which is the best one, which is the most interesting one. Good. So, if you think that we have many lists, we do things, we do lots with our life. Yeah? So, this morning, I made breakfast, I prepared breakfast, I prepared something to eat, then I went to the swimming pool. Okay? Now, that's perfectly fine. J'ai préparé quelque chose à manger. Remember, if you're writing that, it would be j'ai pré with an accent, préparé with another accent, quelque chose à with the accent, with the grave, manger. Manger, the to form. Then, puis, ensuite, I went, je suis allé à la piscine, feminine swimming pool. But what do we say? We say, after making breakfast, I went to the pool. Or, I made breakfast before going to the pool. So what's the little sound we have just heard? We have just heard ing. Okay? So the next thing and the final thing we're looking at with ing today is before something and after something. Okay? So let's look at the easiest one first. Let's look at before doing. So, word for before. Avant. Next point. Possibly the main point I want you to take from this video, so listen up. We do not use the ANT, we do not use the ING ANT method for this. So before eating would not be avant manger. We say avant de plus the infinitive, plus the long form. So before eating, avant de manger. Before going, avant d'aller. Yes, we're going to link them. Yeah. Before deciding, avant de décider. Yeah, it would be avant de décider. Okay. Let's think about this. There are plenty of times we've already been using de out of nowhere. Yeah, we did it last week with the verbs, but also you know if you find yourself having to deal with the to form, the long form, and you've got nothing before it of any value, no verb, so I am happy to stay, je suis content de rester. I need this de. So we're used to stuffing and shoving a de before a verb. Okay? So before eating, avant de plus to eat. Now let's look at where this comes from. So if you said before eating, give me something that comes after this. So before eating, Luke washed his hands. Before eating, Grandma said a prayer. Before eating, we read the label to check there was no gluten, which is my life, my sad, tragic, celiac life. Before eating, they went for a walk. So this before eating thing, it could be anybody. It could also be anywhere. When my grandparents got married, before eating, my grandmother's father said thank you to everybody for coming. Could be in the future. When we get married, before eating, let's take all the photographs. Whatever. Okay? So this is the most fantastically neutral phrase for you. You do not need to conjugate it. It could be for any person. You do not need to work on the tense. It could be in any time. What an absolute win situation. So we're going to have avant de plus the verb is your first clause. Or your second clause. Who cares? So instead of saying we went to the swimming pool, then we ate. Nous sommes allés à la piscine. Après, nous avons mangé. Okay? Ensuite, nous avons mangé. We're just going to have, we went to the swimming pool, nous sommes allés à la piscine, let's say before eating, avant de manger. Okay? So, final note on this. If you have verbs that are long and you have, what's my little code I use? If you've got a pronoun to stick in, the little word before the long word. The little word, me, te, nous, vous, ce, lui, leur, en, i. So I buy it, je le achète, je l'achète. Before buying it, avant de l'acheter. So let's look at some of these. So the short note is, all of your links are going to be the same. So if you had je l'aime, I like it, je l'aime, or I love him. Before loving him, so I would have avant de. And then this section is going to remain exactly the same. Avant de l'aimer. Okay? I speak to them. Je leur parle. Because you're speaking to them. Je leur parle. This section is going to be the same. Avant de leur parler. Anything that went before your normal verb will go before your verb in the long form. I hate you. Je te déteste. Oh, well, before hating you, we were really good friends. Avant de te détester. Yeah? Yeah, you can... I buy some. J'en achète. Yeah, with the en. Before buying some. Avant d'en acheter. Okay, so any little pronoun that can go there. Before washing myself, before getting washed. Avant de me laver. So, why is this important? If you don't use this method, so before I get washed, can I just tell you something? You are obliged to use a very complicated structure in French. You are obliged to say, avant que je ne me lave. Avant que je ne me lave. There is a ne there when it's not negative. See what I mean? It's complicated. Before I do it, avant que je ne le fasse. Avant que je ne le fasse. Or, avant de le faire. So much easier. Okay, so we will look at this other method of doing it. We certainly will. Okay? And I will probably add that on as an extension on this video because most of the people who are going to be looking at this video won't be at that level yet. But we will add this on as an extension at some point. So that is the thing to remember. Now let's quickly and finally look at after doing something, okay? So final reminder on this one, before speaking, avant de parler, infinitive. Before finishing, avant de finir. Yeah? Before finishing it, avant de le finir. Before finishing them, avant de les finir. Final look, let's have a look at after doing something, okay? So before cleaning the board, avant de nettoyer or avant d'essuyer, to wipe le tableau. Okay. So after. Let's crack on. First word we need is after. Okay. Après. Now, very important thing, most important thing to take from this one. So ears open. After doing something has stuck it in the past. So you are going to use your past word, your third word. So after speaking, I can guarantee you, you're going to need the spoken bit. So parler. Okay? We're not going to have parler in the long form. Okay? Might sound the same. Parler sounds the same as parler hier, but it's not. After finishing what I have finished, j'ai fini. Yeah, so we're going to have that. After going, we'll have après. We'll have an aller there. So after eating in French will always be after having eaten. So we're back to an ing. We have an ing either way, after eating or after having eaten, which is a little bit more formal in English. They will always be the same in French. You will always need to stick the verb there. So quick reminder, when you do your past tense, your action tense, which is how many words? 1, 2, 3. What's the verb in the middle? We have 2. J'ai mangé or je suis allé. We will have or be in the middle. All you're going to do is put the word après, put the long form of the verb in the middle. So if you had a have verb, stick avoir in the middle. If you had an être verb, stick être in the middle. Yeah, être. With an accent on the E. Next thing to remember. Let's just say some of these. Après avoir will become après avoir. So after having spoken, après avoir parlé. After having finished, après avoir décidé. After having chosen, après avoir choisi. So quick note already, this can go on either side. So after finishing the work, après avoir fini le travail, okay? I went out, je suis sorti. I went out, je suis sorti, après avoir fini le travail. It could go on either side, same as in English, okay? I went, je suis allé. After going out, après être allé. Yeah? I came, je suis venu. Yeah? Je suis venu, extra verb. After coming, après être venu. So either way, you're going to have après z. Yeah? Because both of them are a vowel. Okay? So give me some. After deciding, après avoir décidé. After buying, après avoir acheté. After arriving, après être arrivé. Okay? Final thing on this one, and then we're free. Again, there are times when we stick in a pronoun. Where do we stick a pronoun? If we had a normal 3. If we had a normal 3. So if we said, let me think, I did would be j'ai fait. Great. I did it. Remember the system? If you don't have a to form, you're going to have the relationship. The person doing the verb, then the person receiving verb, then your verbs. So I did it will be je l'ai fait. Yeah? He spoke to me, il m'a parlé. Yeah? Tu leur as donné. Whatever. What can you give them? So the point is, there are plenty of times where a little word will come before the have, or indeed even before the be. Okay. So I washed myself. Je me suis lavé. I got washed.